Hey there, and welcome back to NatureOlogies by DIY Nature. By exploring my local wildlife refuge, I've come to realize that nature really is the ultimate landscape designer. Every part of it, the plants, the animals, fungi, even the abiotic pieces, work together in perfect harmony to sustain life. But on my ride home, I'll be greeted with the reality that the suburban crawl has and continues to slice through this harmony, causing habitat fragmentation, light and sound pollution, and an opening for invasive species to run amok. What if we could take inspiration from nature to rewild parts of our yards, creating stepping stones for wildlife? By understanding the science of how nature works, we can. Let me show you how. There are 5 things that a habitat must provide for an animal to survive: food, water, shelter, air, and space. Now consider the role of native plants like this eastern red cedar. These are often the overlooked champions of any ecosystem, having evolved alongside native wildlife to become the very foundation of their habitat. Many species of caterpillar are only able to eat 1 to 2 species of plant. The best example of this is the monarch butterfly, which needs milkweed to survive. Native plants are the backbone of this wildlife reserve, and they can be in your garden too. These plants evolved alongside local wildlife, providing food and shelter. For example, native oaks can support over 500 species of caterpillar, which are critical food for birds since baby birds don't eat regurgitated seed. They eat caterpillars, moths, and other tiny critters, regurgitated or not. Without these plants, our food web begins to collapse. Currently, wildlife finding the right native plant can be a bit like playing hopscotch. Suburban sprawl has fragmented natural habitats, meaning wildlife faces islands of green surrounded by concrete and asphalt. This setup disrupts wildlife's access to essential resources like food, water, and even potential mates, putting their survival at risk. The proof is on the roads. Dead. Whether it be deer, foxes, possums, or turtles, frogs, caterpillars, snakes, or bears, raccoons, skunks, armadillo, or bunnies. By creating stepping stones, native plant gardens throughout our yards, we provide crucial food, shelter, and safe passage for animals like this reserve does on a larger scale. Native plants transform barren yards into biodiversity hotspots by attracting pollinators, providing food for birds, and offering refuge for small mammals and arthropods. By choosing native species that mimic the surrounding natural areas, we start to support the local food web, ensuring that each link is strong and sustainable. Now, we can't just go around planting random native plants and hope for the best. Well, we could, but our yards wouldn't be as effective as possible. Let's explore the intricate design of nature and how native plants work within a larger system. Take this forest, for example. Every layer has a purpose. Every plant and creature play an important role, from the towering canopies that dominate the skyline to the delicate mosses carpeting the forest floor under the snow. Nature's architecture is both beautiful and functional. By observing these natural systems, we can mimic them to create vibrant, thriving ecosystems in our own backyard. To put these ideas into practice, we start by observing what natural landscapes are around our neighborhoods. For instance, this section of Forested Wildlife Reserve right here could easily be mimicked in the yards of surrounding neighborhoods. Let's break down how it functions. The space of this and most any forest can be broken down into layers. The canopy is the tallest layer of the forest and receives the most sunlight and direct wind. The understory extends from around 15 to 20 feet above ground to just below the canopy. Here is where you'll find both immature trees and fully grown shade-loving trees. The shrub layer extends from about 1 foot off the ground to the bottom-ish point of the understory. Sapling trees and many different kinds of spring and early summer flowering shrubs are found here, including one of my favorite, mountain laurel. The forest floor consists of two main sublayers, the herbaceous layer and the ground layer. In the herbaceous layer of ferns and wildflowers, flowering plants typically bloom early before the larger plants develop their leaves and overshadow the light. The ground layer is home to decomposing plants and animals, as well as fungi, all of which contribute to the formation of new soil. Every layer supports life, from birds nesting and mammals resting above, down to the reptiles, amphibians, and arthropods living below. By mimicking this structure in our yards, we can build gardens that aren't just beautiful, but are functional ecosystems. Transforming your yard into a thriving mini ecosystem is simpler than you might think. By mimicking the natural layers found in forests and meadows, you can create vibrant spaces that support local wildlife while bringing year-round beauty and harmony to your garden. Here's how to incorporate these layers into your yard. Start with native trees to form the uppermost layer. If your property is large enough, I do recommend planting at least 3 tall trees. Trees like to have friends around. It's a strange fact that I'll explain more in an upcoming video. Including tall trees will provide shade, shelter, and nesting sites for birds, squirrels, and other animals. Consider species like oaks, maples, or poplars that are native to your region and offer food such as acorns or berries. Beneath the tallest trees, add a variety of shrubs and, if room allows, a shorter tree or two, such as black cherry. These serve as a middle layer, offering food and cover for more pollinators, more small mammals, and other nesting birds. Native shrubs like viburnum and elderberry provide berries and nectar. Here's a secret. Tall herbaceous plants are a great filler to work in between the tall shrubs and the ground layer. Perennials like milkweed goldenrod, boneset, and pokeweed support both pollinators and birds. At the ground level, be sure to incorporate native ground covers such as creeping phlox or wild violets to mimic the edge of the forest floor. You can see how it takes a step down here. You could also add mulch, leave the leaves, or use wood chips to mimic the decomposition layer of the forest floor. This helps to enrich your soil. Another suggestion is to add a small or large water source. This addition can make a big difference. A bird bath, a shallow dish with stones for bees, or even a small pond can attract frogs, butterflies, and birds. Be sure to keep the water clean and accessible year-round to support wildlife. Feel like taking your yard to the next level? By adding features like piles of rocks or logs, you can create microhabitats for insects, reptiles, and amphibians. Do your best to leave dead trees standing for woodpeckers and other birds, so long as they don't pose a safety hazard. Remember to select plants with varied bloom and fruit times for continuous wildlife resources. And note that evergreens offer winter cover, while native perennials provide seasonal interest. When walking through your wildlife refuge or local state park, you can see the layers that we've been discussing. You can see the top layers here, the canopy, the extremely tall trees, and then you have mid-sized trees here like this holly here. But also one thing to think about, if you can leave them, are the dead trees here. So long as they're in a safe spot, they're excellent for wildlife and highly recommended to be left up. You can attract things like owls, woodpeckers, and various mammals. So here's a close-up of what it looks like when you leave a dead tree. It's hollow. If you come over around to this side, you can see that there are holes up and down it here and on the side there. And things can make little homes inside of it, not just bugs, but critters. Imagine your garden as part of a larger network, connecting fragmented habitats and allowing animals safe passage between green spaces. By planting native gardens that mimic nature, you're contributing to a patchwork of natural corridors that help sustain wildlife populations. Ready to make your yard part of the solution? Join the EcoGarden Masterclass and learn how to design and create native garden that transforms your yard into a thriving ecosystem. Whether you're just starting out or looking to make a bigger impact, this course will get you the tools and guidance to turn your yard into a haven for wildlife and a peaceful retreat for you. Sign up today and be part of the movement to reconnect nature, one garden at a time. Thanks for watching.